There's a type of person that everyone misreads. And if you're watching this, you're probably one of them. When the pain gets real enough, you don't yell, you don't cry, you don't explain yourself. You go somewhere inside yourself that nobody else can reach, completely silent. And the people around you read that as coldness, as punishment, as not caring. But here's what nobody ever says out loud. When you go completely quiet at your worst, it's almost always because you feel the most. What everyone around you reads as absence is something entirely different. And after this video, you will never look at your own silence the same way again. You're in the middle of something painful. Someone says the thing, not loud, not violent, just wrong in a specific way that goes all the way down. You open your mouth and nothing coherent comes. Not because you're being difficult, because the part of your brain that produces language just went offline. When emotional pain crosses a certain threshold, the amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, fires so intensely it floods the prefrontal cortex. That's where language lives, where reasoning lives, where the words for what you feel are formed. Under enough pain, that region goes dark, not blocked, actually dark. Psychologist Daniel Goleman called this the amygdala hijack. And what it means is this: the person still yelling, still with full access to words, is actually less flooded than you are. Your silence is not composure. It is your system at maximum capacity with nothing left to form a sentence. And when someone pushes, just say something. Why won't you talk to me? They are asking a car with a blown engine to accelerate. Every time someone mistook your silence for stubbornness, what they were actually watching was your nervous system at its limit. But here's what nobody thinks to ask. What are you actually doing while you hold it? The response is right there. You can feel its shape. You know exactly how it would sound and exactly where it would land, and you swallow it, not because you have nothing, because you know what it would do. At some point, maybe years ago, maybe not long ago at all, you said the unfiltered version. You let the pain speak without anything holding it back, and you watched what it did to someone you cared about, to a relationship you valued, to a version of yourself you didn't recognize. You never forgot that moment, what you were capable of from that place, and you decided you were never going back there. So now, when the urge to release is loudest, when everything in you is screaming to say the thing, you don't. Not because you don't feel it, because you feel it so completely you know exactly what it costs. And you have decided that the relationship, the person, this moment is worth more than your need to discharge the pressure. Most people read this as passivity. The psychology of emotional regulation calls it something entirely different, choosing not to say the most damaging thing you could say, while every part of you wants to. That is one of the most demanding forms of self-control a human being can exercise. The people in your life who have never once said something unforgivable to you, even when they had every reason, their silence is the choice every single time. That restraint doesn't come from nowhere. It was built, and understanding where it came from changes everything about how you see yourself. There was a younger version of you who once tried to say how they felt, and one of two things happened. Either you said it and were told you were too sensitive, too dramatic, too much to deal with, or you said it, and nothing changed. The pain stayed exactly where it was. And at some point, the nervous system made a quiet calculation. Expressing this costs me something. Expressing this changes nothing. Invisible is safer than known. Attachment researchers call this the deactivating strategy. And when children learn that expressing emotional needs produces no response, or a harmful one, they adapt. They internalize. They make the inner world unreachable because unreachable was what kept them safe. That pattern doesn't dissolve when you grow up. It activates every time pain reaches the depth it reached back then. The wall someone keeps running into when they try to reach you is not about them. It was built before they existed in your life. They are not the cause. They are just the one standing closest to it. And while they're standing there on the outside, unable to reach you, here's what's actually happening on the inside. You're staring at the wall, or at nothing specific, and from where they're standing, it looks like you've left, like the conversation ended for you before it ended for them. Your brain is running a complete reconstruction of everything that just happened. Every word, every tone, every possible meaning examined. You are holding their emotional state and yours simultaneously, searching for the version of what happened that is true to both, searching for language that doesn't yet exist for what you're feeling, and doing all of this while actively suppressing everything you've already decided not to say. Researcher Elaine Aron spent decades documenting the way certain people process emotional information at a different depth than others, like not faster, deeper, more connections, more angles, more time required before anything is ready to be spoken. The blank face is a brain running at full capacity inward. There is nothing left over for expression. The lights look off. The house has never been more full. Has someone ever gone completely quiet on you for hours and then come back and said something so precise it stopped you cold, something you couldn't argue with? That gap wasn't them recovering, that was the work completing. And what they hand you when they return, most people receive it without understanding what they're actually holding. When you finally break the silence and speak, what you say is not what you felt in the moment. It's what you know when the moment is over. Everything that was just pain talking, found and set aside, every version designed to win, to defend, to release pressure, gone. What survives is the truth that held up through the most honest internal examination you're capable of conducting. Therapists call this reflective functioning, holding your own experience and another person's perspective simultaneously and finding language true to both. People with this capacity don't produce it in real time. They produce it in the silence. And when they return, what they offer is the most considered thing they know how to give. If you've ever handed someone this and watched them move past it quickly, like you'd simply calm down, they didn't know what they were holding. That's not a failure of your communication. It's a failure of their understanding. This video connects to the same thing. The silence is not absence. It is a nervous system at capacity, doing more invisible work than the people around you will ever see. The restraint is not passivity. It is one of the most sophisticated forms of emotional regulation that exists. The blank face is not emptiness. It is everything held inward, because letting it out without control would cost more than carrying it. You have spent years being called cold, closed off, told something is broken in how you love. There is no malfunction here. There's a nervous system that learned to protect something real. The relationship, the other person, the version of you that doesn't say things it can't take back. That is not a flaw. That is one of the most sophisticated emotional responses a human being can develop. The people who deserve to stay won't ask you to be louder. They'll learn to trust the silence. Has anyone ever understood it without needing you to explain it? If they have, you already know how rare that is.